Since we're on the topic of Republican makeup trends, I think I should make a few things clear since when my hair comes out of the rollers, it might give you a little bit of like, I just want to make America healthy again. Or perhaps even, what if we just like took Canada? So here's actually where I'm at. One, schmishmortion, that's healthcare, babe. Point blank period, okay? Two, I will go hard for the girls, gays, and theys. I have since I was a little tiny baby, and I will until I'm a little tiny old lady, okay? Three, calling it the Gulf of America actually didn't hit super hard for me, dude. I don't know what to tell you. That was crazy. Gun control? That's actually like a really tight idea. I don't think basing our ability to own an AK-47 in this day and age should be because a bunch of drunk old men about 100 years ago wrote it down on a squiggly piece of paper. Read a book. I don't know what to tell you. Immigrants? I think they actually make this country go round, and I'm glad they're here. If we're really concerned about getting criminals out of this country, maybe we start with a guy with 34 felony accounts. I don't know, that just seems like a good idea to me.
What's most sickening about her perspective is it's shared amongst probably half of this country. They probably see that video and like it. You know, that's why it's gotten so many likes. But so pretty much to recap what she said, she wants to ban weapons. Her political views are to ban weapons, promote killing our own people, promote gay relationships that result in no births of our own people, and take our guns away and fill our country full of a bunch of immigrants who are not from here. From a strictly defense perspective, like, that's insane. And it's funny that it's coming from a frail little girl like her who's probably never been in a fight in her life and knows nothing about defending defending anything. And she obviously doesn't respect the people who wrote the Second Amendment, calling them just drunk men. Like, yeah. It's like, you got to stay off the internet. This will just cause you to go into a rage. I mean, it's horrible. Let's see here. So this is the Paint the Town Red podcast. It's obviously Thursday. My name is Chance. There's a lot in news today. China moves warships closer to Australia, even flew a Chinese air fighter jet near a Royal Australian Air Force plane during a routine surveillance patrol in the South China Sea. Hamas has returned 4 bodies they killed of Israelis that they killed. They returned the bodies. There are good people and there are bad people on the earth, but I think it's safe to say Hamas are bad people, right? Not because of their race, but because of their behavior. It's pretty simple. The EU warns Trump against letting Putin divide the US and Europe. Let's not do him a favor. Europe, you guys are not trusted anymore. You don't have fair elections or freedom of speech. You are led by intellectual beta males. When J.D. Vance came and told you that you need to get your country under control, you cried in your wife's arms in front of the entire world. And then you applauded the Chinese spokesperson directly after. Wow. Just like in the past, the people who loan money for these wars also control all the media. We should not be fooled anymore in involving ourselves in stupid wars. We said we would not move an inch closer to Russia. But yet, when Bill Clinton came into office, he overthrew the Ukrainian government and moved to make Ukraine a part of the UN. Who is at the controls of this? And why do the people that are at the controls wish for so much conflict? Oh yeah, that's right. That's how they make all their money. The liberal rat's nest of New York City hosts an anti-Israel protest. Several fights broke out as the alligators chanted "Zionists go to hell" and waved Palestinian flags at the Borough Park protests. They paraded the streets calling for a war in Europe. But when the Israeli government defends themselves against a population of brown people, they call it an unfair genocide. Yet some people on the right-wing media agrees with them, claiming the Jews are at the center of all of our conflicts. It's not the Jews, it's the people who we do not share culture with. And they will do anything to dismantle our traditional values, like even changing the sex that God intended them to be. They are the ultra-internationalists. No matter if you are Jew, Christian, or Muslim, these are the people who are the ultimate enemies, and one day they will seek to create a one-world government. Some financial news: Trump's Housing and Urban Development Secretary cancels $4 million in DEI contracts after launching DOGE task force. More details have emerged from Trump administration about alleged plans to get rid of the International Revenue Service, or the IRS, and utilize tariffs to boost our economy. Trump has bolstered about bringing the U.S. economy back to the golden age prior to 1913, when the federal income tax was created, where the government funding was primarily from tariffs, not taxes. Wow, I love the early 1900s. Women were well behaved and we had a sense of national pride. And the music was just better. You turn on the radio today, 1 minute in, you hear every sin possible, yet we applaud and worship it. It's sickening. We even allow our kids to listen to it. When I was a kid, I remember it was a big tiff about Lil Wayne's song. I'm not even going to sing it, but it was a song. Didn't even say any cuss words. It just, hinted to like a sexual act. But man, it was like a big ordeal to let your kids listen to that, and it was on the radio. Now it's just an everyday thing. I mean, all the songs are bad on the radio now. We've just... Local news, although Trump's immigration has largely stopped illegals from coming into our country, the bad people are already here and they're still conducting business. We have a lot of people to deport. One of the common businesses these people involve in is sex trafficking. Ever wonder where all these missing kids we hear about end up? Here is just one from today. The Bakersfield Police Department is asking for community help in finding a missing 13-year-old girl, Zenahiah de Jesus, or Jesus, one of the two, was last seen on February 19, 2025 in the 2000 block of Scenic View Drive near South 8th Street and Panama Lane. See, whose district is that? The city council cares much about expanding their office space and creating bike lanes. Why don't they work on preventing sex trafficking and kidnapping, That's important, right? A bit of history. In all of known history, we have collected wisdom from our past generations. This has allowed us to build and have what we have today. Some of us are not too appreciative of that, obviously. But what happens when the blessings of all the hard work from the past spoils us today? We all know the saying, good times create weak men. But what classifies them as weak? What makes a weak man? How do we know if they're weak? From a strictly defensive perspective, we have history to draw upon. During Alexander's great reign, we have accounts of the Persian army being double the size of Alexander's, but yet Alexander overtook them in just a short time, even causing the Persian king to abandon his own wife and mom to later be captured by Alexander and turned into they agreed, apparently, into his sexual partners. What happened to the Persians? Why were they so weak and unable to defend themselves? Well, for starters, the Persians had been in power for a long time, much like the U.S., and they grew comfortable in their riches and lavish lifestyles. Sound familiar? That promoted partying over physical discipline. They often refer to themselves as intellectuals, and the Macedonians, or Alexander's people, as savages, dirty savages. Placing social matters over defense operations, this left their armies weak, but their high-class elites morally satisfied. They identified themselves as superior. This led to a lack of unity within their own empire. Although they had a huge army, they disagreed on many things. Do you see any correlation between the Persian Empire and our society today? I don't know. Maybe. This is the Painted Town Red podcast. Have a wonderful Thursday. Stay off Instagram. Try not to get too upset.